I've noticed on my analytics that there are quite a few people who come across my website and things like that and my social media from abroad, not just in South Africa. What I have noticed obviously is that there is a huge amount of stress going on. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of uncertainty, and people are looking for ways to deal with that. And this is what I want to help with, and ways to communicate. Sorry, my kitty cats are are here in the room as well. So one of the things that I first want to look at is stress. Now, oftentimes stress in normal daily lives and normal corporate work life, oftentimes stress gets demonized. Now, stress is not a bad thing. Stress is it's like a vehicle. It gets you into motion. It gets you into action when you really need to get into action. I often say that when you get, like an example that I use oftentimes is when you get face to face with a lion or like a tiger or something like that. You're not supposed to go, oh, cool, cute little kitty. You're supposed to get into action and get out of danger. So that is where fear activates your stress system, and it gets you moving. Right? So our nervous system is a beautiful, beautiful network inside our bodies. So what happens is when you are in a relaxed mode, so there's the thing that's called the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. All right? And stress activates our sympathetic nervous system. So to try and explain this into a sense that makes a little bit more sense, the example I sometimes use is, say for instance, you are driving on a road and you've got the whole full horizon ahead of you. You can see maybe there's mountainscapes, like curving and stuff like that, and here and there's maybe like a house or a tree and so on. So when you're in the parasympathetic nervous system, so you're in a relaxed state, you see everything in front of you. Okay, you're not specifically looking at one specific detail. For instance, you are driving along and you are enjoying the scenery, looking at everything around you. If something causes you to focus on something specific, so maybe there's suddenly a lot of traffic in front of you and you need to focus on the traffic in front of you. Now suddenly your brain is focused on what is right in front of you, and maybe obviously looking what's behind you in the rear view mirror, but now suddenly you don't see the landscape anymore. Now your sympathetic nervous system is activated and you are focused on what is going on in front of you. The traffic, maybe there's a lot of traffic and cars overtaking each other, and you need to navigate in between this and make sure that the guy behind you is not driving too fast, or if they are busy overtaking, so that you are aware of what is going on around you in your immediate environment. So that is just a very simple way that I try and describe the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic nervous system. So parasympathetic is paralyzed, meaning you go back into relaxed state. Okay. So when it comes to stress again, it's not a demon, it's not an evil thing. It is something that we need at specific times in our life, and it keeps us going. So it's normal for us to experience stress. Okay. So, but the thing with stress is, and with our nervous system, it's supposed to fluctuate. All right, we cannot be just in the one where we constantly always relax and never get anything done and never really get into motion or anything. And we cannot stay stuck in the stress cycle either. It needs to fluctuate. All right, so that's where the important part comes in, from understanding what stress is and understanding how to use it to benefit us. So talking about the stress cycle again, there are ways and there are many different methods, and you need to see which one works for you best. Okay, and it can also just depend on your circumstances, where you're at and so on, to decide what method in the specific time that you are at is something that works well for you to just move between the stress cycles. All right, something very simple, for instance, that I describe in my book is that when you have a very hard day at the office, for instance, and you are driving home and you're still sitting in all that stress from the day's stress is with you in the car, and now you're still sitting in traffic and people are driving like a little crazy and you constantly have to be on alert, and you finally make it home and you are safe, your car's parked, it's in the garage or driveway or undercover, wherever you normally park your car. But before you go into the house to meet your family, you just take a moment in the car where you tense up your whole body. You tense up every single muscle. Tense it, and you hold it for a couple of counts. Like any muscle, like your toes, your fingers, any muscle that you can in your body, you tense it up, and then you relax it. You take a normal breath, and you just relax it. And you do this 3 or 4 times. It helps your body to be alert, to say, okay, the stress is now over, now we go into relax. There's a break in the pattern happening. It forces your body to break that pattern, to go from the one cycle to another cycle. There's also breathing techniques that work brilliant. If you're familiar with the box breath, you breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, and then breathe again. Oh gosh, did I say it right? So let me try again. So you breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts. There we go. And then you start the cycle again. When you're starting with breath work, you start with 4 counts. You can later on in life increase it to 5 and to even to go up to 6 counts. All right. Something specifically that I want to mention for today that I want you guys to focus on if you have it available is journaling. I forgot the book now. All right. So let me just quickly go get the book. Okay, so a couple of years back, I read The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. Okay, now this book is actually helping you to get back into activating your creativity. But throughout the beginning part of the book, she teaches us about morning pages. Now, morning pages is like journaling. In the morning, you wake up and you just start writing down whatever is on your mind. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be neat. It doesn't even have to make sense. Okay, I remember years back when I started first doing my morning pages, I was also still in the beginning phases of burnout and I didn't recognize it. So it was oftentimes just like sometimes just swearing. All right, sometimes it was just words, it was sentences, the one sentence to the next sentence that wasn't even on the same topic. It was just babbling and getting the stuff out. So what it does is, so for her specifically, it was the beginning process of getting you back into creativity or stimulating your creativity, but it also, I found, works brilliant when you are in a stress cycle, when you are going through a stressful period. So whether it's like a project at work that you have deadlines and it's crunch time week where things need to start happening fast towards the end of the project or the deadlines are due, or whether you find yourself in a war-stricken area, it's not easy to just get yourself out of the situation. The situations around you are still happening, all right? And we oftentimes do not have control over these situations around us happening. The only thing that we have control over is what we decide to do, how we decide to respond to it. Okay, and this is where morning pages can come in very, very, sorry, my kitten is now playing with the light thingy. So this is where morning pages comes in very, very nice. And you don't necessarily have to do it first thing in the morning. You can do it throughout the day. You can do it at the evening. If possible, try and do it in a routine pattern because your brain likes routine. Okay, your brain likes to get up at a certain time. You do certain steps in the morning. And you have things that happen during the day, and before bedtime, for instance, we have a little routine that we tend to follow before we get ready for bed. So your body likes routine. So decide which time you want to do it. If for some reason you miss in the mornings, and mornings are normally your best time, and you miss, it's not the end of the world, but just where possible, try and keep to a routine because our bodies do like it. So what the morning pages does is it takes all the stuff that's in our minds, because when we are stressed, our brain is overthinking everything, overanalyzing, and constantly busy. And this is where morning pages helps to put it down on paper, to get it out of the overthinking constant process. And it can take time for you to teach your brain to get used to the whole thing. It also helps to put all your fears down, all your emotions down, so that you don't have to constantly overanalyze, because if there's something you want to refer back to, you can go back to your morning pages where you've written it down, or your journaling. Let's just refer to it as journaling going forward. You can refer back to your journaling and read it again if you need to. But at least it's like you've taken it out of your brain as much as you can and you've put it down. Okay, and while you've actually put it down, you don't necessarily constantly have to overthink it. Yes, thoughts are going to still come up, all right? That is the human process. It's how the brain works, and we have to learn how to handle it, how to control it, how to say, you know what, I've taken this, I hear you, I see you, I feel you, and I've put it down, and for now I need to put it down and I need to leave it here. Right, so that's where journaling is really, really helpful. Whether you do 1 page, whether you do 3 pages, one day you do 1 page, another day you do 5 pages, that is fine. The thing with the journaling is it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And it's not something that is meant to be read by other people. If there is something that you write in there that you don't actually ever want somebody to read, okay, and you're fearful that it might come to the wrong eyes, then take that page, tear it up tiny, or in a very safe environment, try and burn it to get rid of it. But at least you got it out. All right, that's the important part, is getting it out, telling yourself that you are busy dealing with this instead of keeping it all in to the point where it actually breaks your nervous system completely down. All right, that at the end of the day is not what you want. You need to just process all these little things. All right, this brings me to the next thing. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Gabor Mate. There was also another gentleman whose book I read, Hopkins, I think it was. Any case, so they talk often about emotions and how emotions can eventually affect our bodies, because our emotions triggers our thought patterns, and it eventually can also, it affects our response, how we respond to things, and it affects our body in the long term as well. Right. So this is also why I wanted to bring this up specifically along with the journaling, because our emotions are important. They are like little messages. They are trying to tell us something. They are trying to guide us or show us something about ourselves. So it's important for us to not ignore our emotions and to just sit with these emotions and just feel them. So I want to quickly take a few minutes, and I want you to sit, take a deep breath. You can close your eyes. Take another deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. And I want you to think about the first emotion coming up. The very, very first emotion. Okay, just see it. Just feel it. And just look at it. You can give it any shape, any color, any texture. And just sit with that emotion for a minute. Just say to it, I see you. I feel you. I hear you. Okay, our emotions are like little messengers, and they don't like to be ignored. They oftentimes want to be recognized, and we have to process them. Just sit with it a bit more. Open your eyes again. So in the beginning, when we do an exercise like this, it can feel uncomfortable, especially if we are not used to acknowledging and dealing with our emotions. Oftentimes you might be in a situation where you just don't feel like you have the time to even deal with these emotions, so you have to cope with whatever the situation you're under. But at some point you need to just sit and say, you know what, let me just let it go. Let me just release it. And it takes time to learn how to release it, especially when a lot of different emotions have been cropping up over a long period of time. So I want to encourage you to do this often. Okay, do it as often as you can, just to sit with these emotions so that they don't overwhelm you and flood you. Okay, and just let them go. All right, you don't have to go drown in them. Okay, that's not the point, to go drown in them, but you must also not ignore them. All right, so it's like you're almost pulling them out, and you sit with them and you feel them and you look at them and you acknowledge them. And the beginning part, it doesn't really feel, in the beginning stages when you first start doing it, it doesn't actually feel like anything is happening. But the more often you start doing it, the more the release you will start feeling. All right. So this is what I want to leave you guys with in this video, is that stress is not an enemy. Okay, stress is a good thing in the right dosage at the right time. All right. The stress cycle cannot be continuous. When it's continuous, it starts suffocating. So it's important to break the stress cycle, go back into your parasympathetic nervous system, into the relax mode. All right. And you can do this with different techniques, such as taking a walk at the park, breathing exercises, the breathwork exercise, journaling, and sitting with these emotions. All right. So I hope this helps, and all the best on your side. Have a blessed day. Okay. Bye.